You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, just don't unfriend me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't with that, you must be somebody's new. Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, just don't unfriend me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's new. Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news.
Good morning, everybody. Listen, it's not necessarily better, but it's not worse. It's 9:38. That's the earliest it's been. I guess it could be worse, right? I mean, it was a late night last night. We were on till, well, I don't know, 11 something, I think. No, maybe 10:30. But either way, we're here now. And it is good to have everybody rocking and rolling and here. Let me turn off the old music. So it was not a horribly eventful morning. It's just tough getting started so early with the kids and mom getting ready for the day, and then dad setting up the equipment. So we've got a better solution. We're going to put, sorry, I'm getting everything fixed. We're going to put all the, we have a little broom closet next to the washer and dryer that we're really using for nothing. So we're going to take all that stuff and move it into the garage, which is just right there, and then put all the equipment. And honestly, the equipment's pretty easy. It's just a tower and a mount for the camera. It's getting the show set up in the morning, so I think I'm gonna get the show set up the night before. That way, all I got to do is come in, plug in, and rock and roll. I would come on sooner if the mods would leave me alone. Yeah, that's probably true. Every morning I get the same thing. Hey, you coming on? I'm like, yeah, you know the answer. The answer is yes, but it'll take some time. Michelle said she went to dinner with her kids. Let's see what's going on in the morning. Matt, good morning, buddy. Kristen, good morning to you. Susie, good morning. Gosh, people can't get enough. Lee, good morning, bub. What's going on? Mike, good morning. You know, people always ask me, Matt, do you ever sleep? And the answer to that question is no, I don't. But obviously, if you know I never sleep, then you never sleep either. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? If you know that I'm not sleeping, then you're not sleeping. Chevelle, good morning. Good morning. She has hopefully her morning coffee. If you guys don't know, we have our Christmas ornaments up. A lot of people are asking about that, so those are up. Good morning, Amy. Angela, what's up? Morning coffee, the best. So I guess here's the morning question. Do you drink your coffee black with cream and sugar, just cream, or just black and sugar? Let's take a poll. How do you drink your coffee? And if you don't drink coffee, you can just leave, because this is morning coffee, and you got to be drinking coffee. There's only one right answer to this question, by the way. By the way, get your Don't Unfriend Me mug over at thedumbshow.com. No, I don't have a Jitter Juice mug yet. I got to get busy. Got to get busy. 6:30 a.m. I'm already up and working. Well, no, that's the problem. I've been up. Getting this thing going is the hard part. It was great to have Leroy last night. Yeah, it was great to have Leroy. It was good to have him, for sure. Good to see you, Belia Sanchez. Good-looking kid, happy family, outstanding. Lolly says, Morning dummies. WISP. What's WSIP? Is it like with sip of coffee, or is there an acronym somewhere? You got to help me. What's up, Jason? Good to see you, buddy. It's chilly this morning. Glad I ordered a hoodie. It's chilly in Virginia. And let me clarify. No, it's not chilly in Virginia. It's just a 45 to 50 point swing in temperature, which most assuredly is chilly. When you're used to 95 and then it's, 45 to 50, that's not chilly, because in a month we're all going to be wearing shorts and t-shirts, but it definitely is it's a little nippy. I put on my sweater, but I'm getting old, right? So, but I still have flip-flops on. Go explain that. My wife doesn't get it either. She's like, how the hell can you wear flip-flops all year round? If it's snowing, sleeting, doesn't matter. By the way, got the umbrella. There goes $300 pair of glasses. Be right back. Well, that's why I got the Nike Tough frames. No worse for wear. The wind they're ultra light, and the wind picked them up and literally flew them. Hopefully the wind's not too bad with the windscreen. Hopefully that's going okay. Oh yeah, it's doing well. That windscreen rocks. All right, let's get to it. Michelle missed last night's show. You should go on, Michelle. It was a good show. Good morning, Jeff. Jimmy says I don't sleep, either do I. Just drink more coffee. What's the easiest thing to waste but impossible to replace? Time. That would be time, Junior. At least in my, it could be several things. Time. That would be, that's my answer. Let me know if I'm right. My Moab with MCT oil. Ooh. Going heavy. Isaac got his Christmas ornament. Christmas ornaments, everyone asked for them, and Isaac was the first one to pop, which I'm excited. But I'm a little disappointed. There's some other people who've been begging for them. I'm not going to name names, but I know who you are. You're on a list. Jason says put butter in it. Butter in your coffee? Okay, there were only a few options. Cream and sugar, black coffee, and black coffee with sugar. I didn't say any weird English shit and stuff. No, that's not an answer. That's not accepted. By the way, we got the umbrella. It's doing okay. Wind is heavy this morning. Okay, as long as the camera doesn't go. right, let's cross our fingers. Matt, if you need a spoon, it's not coffee. I agree. Mushroom Java Macchiato. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, dummies. Hi, Violet. I like my coffee like I like my men, sweet and blonde. I like my coffee like I like my women, bitter and murky and thick. Just a hint of creamer and a hint of sugar. Yeah, Paula, usually people who say that put like 7 scoops of sugar in. My wife says that. I just like a hint of cream and a hint of sugar. Right. As she goes, this is my hint of sugar. And then uses like 8 creamers on the table. When she gets it at Tammy's Diner, the coffee mugs are like this. Mine is like to the brim. Tammy knows. I want it burning me. And then Olivia gets like that much coffee just so she can fit all the room of her sugar and creamer. Strong black with brown sugar. Ooh, wow, now that's... I don't like sugar in my coffee, but that's something I might be able to get behind. Okay, so I'm gonna adjust my umbrella because the sun is shifting. Dude, this thing's awesome. I found this on Amazon for $27, and it's specifically designed for this. And it's like a regular shape umbrella, but it's got a huge canopy that comes out to the right. It's a big 4-foot umbrella, and it's got reflective. So it picks up the ambient light from the ground and helps illuminate, but it helps keep it off my face. So right now the sun is hitting this umbrella, and it's leaving me alone. I may have to adjust from time to time, but it's low profile, and it's not moving in the wind, so it's good. All right, my renters love my dumb coffee mug. Guess I have to buy more? Yes, you do. Black with sugar, just cream. It's good black, but butter in it is amazing. Like what? Like Land O'Lakes or Imperial? Or like, I cannot believe it's not butter. I mean, can you put in margarine? I don't do margarine because I just do straight butter, but I just use limited quantities. Good morning, Matt. Hope you have a great day. Thanks, Jennifer. Same as always. Good morning. Good morning. Wissip is a coffee-flavored what's up. I don't know if I understand, but that's okay. 49 here in Holland, Michigan. Yeah, Michigan's going to get cold fast. Love my first sip of coffee in the morning. I used to feel that way with a cigarette. I'm not going to lie. First thing I would do is my coffee would be brewed. I'd get up, pour a cup of hot coffee, go on the deck, light up a Marlboro Red, sit down, and smoke a cigarette and have a cup of coffee. And then red apples just got too much for me. So I started smoking Marlboro Lights. And those were somewhat respectable. It's when you started getting into 100s and Lady Capris and shit where you basically just lost all your manhood. So I started smoking lights. And now, and that was like the greatest thing in the world. I'd think about it. Now when I think of a cigarette, I want to throw up. Like, just talking about it right now, I can't stand it. And it's amazing. When you smoke, smoking is the greatest thing in the world. But when you stop and you really quit, like I've quit, there's not a chance in hell I will ever smoke again. It just will never happen. I don't even have the temptation anymore. I smell it, and I get nauseous. And even vaping, same thing, because I vaped for 3.5, 4 years to get off cigarettes. And I'll tell you, I can't stand cigarette smoke now. It drives me crazy. Currently 32 in Minnesota. Yeah. Belia, how are the Minnesota Wild going to do this year? Yeah, I still think it's going to be the same result. Decent offense, mixture of sporadic goaltending, and no D. I think Minnesota's going to have a tough time getting past the second round again. Colorado Avalanche are in a good spot, though. I think they're Stanley Cup favorites right now in Vegas. Sarasota, Florida. I wear flip-flops until the snow falls. See, I wear flip-flops always. If I could go barefoot, I would. I can't stand shoes. I hate shoes. Guess I have to go. I don't drink coffee. Never could pick up the habit after 19 years in the military. Mark, you don't have to go. We just won't talk to you, and we'll ignore you and pretend you're not here. So don't worry. You can stay. Just joking, people. Love everybody. Blow, I love your property. Man, I wish I lived like that. Well, listen, living like this ain't cheap. So, I love it too. But trust me, there's days I just want to turn around and sell it. So, because I know what's going to happen to the real estate market. So if you think I don't want to sell it right now for $1 million and get out of here, because that's what I could sell it for, and I could make a pretty damn good profit, at least $400,000 off this thing, where do I go? You can't go to Montana anymore. Georgia is hell on earth because of Atlanta. Tennessee, West Virginia, there's no property. You can't find anything anymore. Everything is completely sold out and oversold, and you have to build and buy property. Where do you go? We tried. We were going to sell. This time last year, we were really close to selling. A little bit before this, right during summer market. And is the wind too bad? Let me know, guys and girls. But yeah, we were going to sell, and then we decided, where are we going to go? I mean, it's beautiful year-round. You get 2 months of hot weather, hot being 90 to 92 degrees, with very little humidity in Virginia. There's not much. They say it's humid here. They don't know what they're talking about. All they got to do is go to Houston. And then 3 months, 4 months of winter, but hardly any snow. You get some snow. You get like 3 or 4 snowfalls a year. Last year we got none, zero, zilch, none, nada. But it was unseasonably cold because there was no cloud cover, and that's the worst. It's better when it snows because you get the cloud cover and you get insulation, and it's better for you. But Virginia weather is godly. It looks like this all the time. Blue skies, gorgeous, beautiful rains in the afternoon, green as hell. It's like Ireland. I love it here. I love Virginia. I got a lot of comments this morning. Got a lot of people just want to talk about the weather. We don't have to talk about anything. We can just talk about the weather. We can talk about Virginia. We can talk about grass. We can talk about coffee. That's all we've been doing so far. We don't have to talk about anything downtrodden. Matthew Owen Spear, I'm getting mine this weekend. Holy shit, Kristen, my mom just walked in the building. God, nobody uses my full name, Lord. Matt has a list. I do have a list. Butter in your coffee? ? Diane, I'm with you. It's got to be an English thing, right? It sounds fascist to me. All right, Jason says it's good. I believe him. No butter in coffee. Now, salt. Pinch of salt in your coffee. I completely get that. You got to put a pinch of salt in your coffee, especially when you're making GI coffee. If you're making GI coffee, a little bit of salt is essential because that military coffee is complete shit. So you got to put a little bit of salt in it. And what's renowned about most military food is salt is non-existent in your food. And the only thing you get, if at all, is a tiny little packet of salt. And most people don't put that on their food. You pour it in your coffee because the coffee is like making love in a canoe, like my dad used to say. And if you don't know what that saying means, it means fucking near water. Pardon the language for those people who aren't ready for it this morning, but I am in last night mode, so I apologize. Carrie Bailey, hello. I know people who do keto put butter in their coffee. Yeah, I don't. Just lift weights, people. Moderate diet. 2,500 calories for men, 2,000 to 2,100 calories a day, with anywhere from pushing 65,000 pounds or running 1.5 miles at a targeted heart rate of 130, and you will lose weight. You will lose weight, and you will look fantastic in doing it. You can't stop the gray unless you just for men or just for women. And, you may not have that chiseled cheek and face because we put so many preservatives in our bodies over the year, but you can look good at 50 if you work at it. You got to work at it. Like everything, you got to put the work in. You got to punch the clock. You don't do that, you're not going to get the results. Sorry. That's in everything. And the funny thing is that a lot of people don't seem to understand is that just because you're doing the work, you don't get recognized until you get the result. That's just the way it works. You could work in that gym for 3 months straight, lose 2 pounds, and nobody's going to know the difference. But you will. And then after some time, people will start to notice. You'll start getting look at Leroy. Leroy leaves for 2 months. He comes back. He looks great. Guy at least lost 20 pounds. He looked wonderful last night. Minus the bald head and the pasty white skin, but everything else is fantastic. Put the work in. You won't get recognized until you're a success. That's the way it works. You think I feel recognized for the work that I do on Don't Unfriend Me? You think let's see, last night was up at 05:30, was working and writing and building the show till 4 or 5 o'clock at night. Had to prepare the evening show, did that until 11:30, got off, answered comments, and went through and scrolled, went to sleep at 1 o'clock, and was up at 5:30 again, ready to rock and roll. Do you think I feel appreciated? Well, from your comments, of course I do. But do I feel like I've been recognized for my work? No, not yet. But I've got to do the work first. I know there's guys who've been in this business 10, 15 years who would kill for my audience, kill for it, who have absolutely not even scratched the surface of their potential because they don't put the work in. Then there's other people who fell into it, like the Krasenstein brothers, who stole their way to the top, right? $500,000 stole from their audience in a Ponzi scheme, then had to pay it back to the government, so they decided to buy 2 Bieber accounts on Twitter and fake their freaking profile. Harry Sasson, same thing. Little punk went ahead and bought an account and then changed the name and then had immediate followers and started posting eye candy type stuff that kept his audience engaged. And then people said, oh, well, I got to follow him. He's got 1 million followers. Of course, there's got to be something about him I like, when honestly, he's just a crying little baby. And then there's some people who've grinded it out, like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro created one of the biggest media networks conglomerates right now in conservative talk, semi-conservative talk. Take a look at Joe Rogan, what he did. Look at Bill Maher. Bill Maher was canceled, was one of the first canceled people ever with Politically Incorrect. And look what he created. The most successful late night show in history. I mean, it truly is, well, cable show in history. And he has been offered multi-million dollar, $100 million contracts to go back to ABC, CBS. He won't. He's like, no, I want to do what I want to do. Just like I won't go work for one of the major TV stations or radio stations, because there's no money worth it for me to be censored and to have my show prescribed. Now, there is a number. There's always a number. But my morals are not for sale. And that's what you're going to find with most people like Bill Maher, like Joe Rogan. They want to do their show. Ben Shapiro wants to do it his way. And God love him, when he couldn't find a network that would allow him to do that, he did it himself. So do you think that Ben Shapiro feels recognized for his work? I'm pretty sure he does, because he's a multimillionaire. Do I feel that I feel at least I'm in a good spot where I want to be? Sure. I feel good. Is it where I want to wind up? No. So you got to put the work in, and you can't expect the results. Honey in the coffee. What? Really? Honey? I've heard honey in tea. French press, or else I'll drink a full percolator. French press. I just don't have the patience or the time. But I'll tell you, I'm with you. Absolutely 100% with you. French press is amazing. What's up, Tyler? Long time, buddy. Sorry I didn't get to you. You know how this goes here. Shot of Irish cream in your coffee. Well, okay, now we're going to talk about that. You got to put some whiskey in there, too. Does the guy that puts butter in the coffee put salt in it as well? Well, I think that's why you would put butter in it. See, because I think a lot of people don't understand that salt in the coffee, it just enriches the flavor, brings out the natural acids, and changes the pH balance of the coffee. It's an amazing thing to do. I don't think a lot of people understand that. Hold on. Dude, I love this umbrella. Well, I kind of love this, but this has got to go up. Aha. Hold on. The best buy ever. Wow. Son, take that. What did I do to quit? Mind over matter. See, I was quit smoking. I'm assuming we're talking about, not coffee. So I was habitual to opiates because of my back. So it hurt my back in the military, had 16 surgeries, had a spinal fusion, spinal discectomy. I did everything, and nothing really worked. And obviously medicine became a very strong crutch for me to, work and survive, because I was working retail. I was on my feet for, 60 hours, 50 hours a week, which turned into 40 and 30 and 20. And then I just stopped going, and ultimately cost me my retail career. One of the best careers I ever had, working with Apple, because I just couldn't do the job anymore. And instead of asking for help, I dove into the medication, and I dove into my own despair and depression, and it cost me my job. I wasn't fired. I quit, but it was a retaliatory quit of my own design because I couldn't cope. I couldn't ask for help. So I was still smoking. So I had to get off the opiates, which was the most painful and difficult thing I have ever done in my life by far. I had to, quit that pretty much cold turkey with no help, because rehab is, $30,000. And although insurance is good, it's not that good. So I had a decision to make, and I kicked them myself. And with the help of my family, and I went into a room, and I slowly went through withdrawals and withered away into just about nothing, and then put it all back on, and then had to, rebuild my body. And I continued to smoke even when I was working out. I just continued to smoke. So the stage for me was to start vaping and get off cigarettes. And that, was a very easy transition, because you can get a vape that tastes just like a cigarette and you get the same benefits. And that's what I did. And I started vaping. And then my daughter came to me one day and she said, "Dad, I want you to quit." And I did. I just put them away cold turkey. And I said, the moment that my kid asked me to stop, and this was cigarettes, and I started vaping. And then she came to me 2 years ago and asked me to stop vaping, and then I stopped vaping. So it was mind over matter. And when I put my mind to something, I just do it. That's the way I've always been. That's it. Cold turkey. Yep. Cold turkey. Just said I'm done quitting. Oh, I get it. Matt quit 20 years ago. No, I quit smoking cigarettes 8 years ago, and I quit vaping 2 years ago. Yeah. Holy crap. I've got so many comments. If you put a comment in that was directed to me, you're going to have to put it back in, because I have to keep scrolling. Everybody's chitty chatty, dude. Everybody's talking. I love it. All right. I got to scroll to the bottom. I'm sorry. For those who are sharing their struggles, congratulations, man. Getting through it. JD, sober since 4/11. Huh, Charlene. Yeah, I guess honey would help breathing. How often do you work on perfecting your craft, making the show better? Every day. I mean, I think last night was one of the best shows we've ever done, to be honest. And on top of that, the show that I did for Joe Biden and the border wall, and then yesterday's show with the squad, I think were two of the best shows I've ever done. So I constantly work to improve. There's little things I do to improve the show. I mean, you can see that this is a whole new station, and you got computer and soundboard and mic and umbrella and camera, and this is all this week. So it's doing a morning show to kind of chill out and get to know the audience a little bit and just talk and not feel a lot of pressure to be scripted or have a bunch of bells and whistles or flash. Just come out on the deck and have a conversation. And that's the way this show's going to be. It's going to be, kind of chill and relax. And if we get into heavy topics, we get into heavy topics. All right. Love the show last night. Great to see Lara. It's 8 years for me. Good job, Deborah. I quit smoking cigarettes about 12 years ago, but still smoke the occasional cigar. Nothing wrong with a cigar. Don't forget the coffee. For me, the best show was about who we should hate today. That was pretty good. Yeah. And that was a good morning show, right? I mean, I think that show was good. And I think today's show is going to be, focused on that. So let's do it. Let's get to it. It's 10 o'clock. We've got enough people on. I need a refill. Hold on. Okay. So, here's the thing. Why do we believe lies? And I think when we talk about lying, there's a lot of different variables to it. Is some people lie or believe lies because they can't tell the difference between a lie and the truth. Some people believe lies because they need to, and they need to have that, maybe not acceptance, but answer, because the unknown frustrates them. That not being able to draw conclusions based on evidence or an answer frustrates them. So they fill things inside of themselves that are irreplaceable, that can't be a substitute to anything but answers. Here's a perfect example. There's an old adage that for every 5 things or 10 things, especially with kids, 10 things you say to a kid that are negative, scratch that. For every 1 thing you say negative to a child, you have to say 10 things positive to erase that and reinforce it and turn that into a positive. Now, it sounds like most stats, that 90% of stats are made up on the spot, as I just did. But it's still an interesting thing, because anyone who's married, especially to a woman, knows that it is true that if you say one thing negative, you will spend the rest of your existence trying to fill the void that you created in that black hole that you put into that woman's heart, simply by saying something that might be mundane and simple to you, but can be extremely damaging. For instance, I don't remember the last time you wore those pants looking like your butt was so fat. Not a good thing to say. You're in trouble. You're going to have to spend the rest of your existence making up for that, because it'll be brought up on anniversaries, at Thanksgiving dinner, at your proctology exam, out in the waiting room before she comes in, or before the doctor grabs you and she doesn't come in. Whatever it is, it will be brought up in every fight. And you've got to be cognizant of that. Now, men are a little bit different. Men don't react that way. You say something to a man, and it stews and it turns into a seed. And women are excellent at this. Men are great at reactionary type stuff. Women are better at slow and meticulous revenge, and believe reciprocity is not only a dish best served cold, but as slow as humanly possible to increase the pain points and the overall self-deprecating teardown that will take place inside of a man's soul. Dane Cook said it best. He's like, I remember I was in a fight with my wife, and I'm just like, oh yeah, well, you're a B word and you're blah, 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 blah. And she's just like sitting there looking at me and, not saying anything as I'm going off. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kicking ass. I'm dominating this conversation. I'm letting her know what's going on. I'm schooling her. And then she looks at me and she goes, oh yeah, well, you're just like your father. And Dane Cook's like, what a stupid fucking company. Well, get out of here. Whatever. I'm going downstairs. We come back. That was a horrible clapback. Get out of my face. That was stupid. Such a woman thing to say. And I go downstairs, and, as I'm down there for 10 or 15 minutes, I'm walking back and forth, and I start looking up at the ceiling on the second floor, and I'm in the basement. I'm like, oh yeah? Yeah. I'm like my father, huh? I'm like my father? You think I'm like my father? Yeah, well, you're like your fucking mother. And Dane Cook says it best. It's like a bomb goes off in your head. And women are excellent at planting that bomb in their mates. And this is why I truly believe that men and women are meant to be together for the rest of their lives. Because the other piece of science is that women's voices, as they get older, lose certain frequencies. And the range of frequency is about 10 megahertz to about 200 megahertz, from a shrieking eel to a low baritone voice, right? Which is very, very deep. 20 megahertz, 10 megahertz, more deep, and then higher, 200 megahertz, etc. Well, women's voices tend to go ahead and get higher when they get older. They lose the lower frequency. But unfortunately, men, their hearing gets better when it comes to frequency. that's lower, but lose the high end, which is more of the text in TV. High end is always up in the higher frequency when you hear it in sound. And that's why they're always like, turn it up, I can't hear you. Or somebody's talking in a room and they can hear the lower end or mid-range, but not the high range of voices. This is why women and men can't hear each other when they get older, is women yell louder and men just drown it out. And this is why we're meant to be together. It's God's way of saying that men and women are meant for each other. But the reason why I bring up that whole thing and the dichotomy of men and women is we have different needs and different desires, and we have different ways of processing things. And it's obviously just one of many distinctions between men and women. And it's a good thing, because I'll be honest with you, if I had to hear my wife shriek at me for the rest of my life and she had to hear me just be as verbose as I am, we would kill each other. But why do we specifically believe things that are not true? So when I talk about this, it really comes down to like fake news, or it comes down to stuff like Q. And I understand the difference between Q and Anon, okay? Q was ultimately a leaker and dropped information, and the Anons were the people who followed with anonymous accounts to create anonymity in IRC chat and things to that effect. And when these things first came out, they were profound. I remember hearing and seeing stuff that my brother shared with me that were from the Q drops. And, you know, talking about 9/11 and talking about trafficking and talking about, you know, the Iraq war and weapons of mass destruction and government spying. And they were intriguing. It was the deep throat of our generation. It was an exchange of information that didn't require us to be in a place that was prominent or to put ourselves in jeopardy working in a secure environment and then, you know, divulging information that could wind all of us up in prison for a long time. So it was an interesting time period. But with that change came the internet and other rooms and open discussion on social media and sharing through, you know, WhatsApp and Messenger and Instagram and, you know, all these different platforms. And people realize that there is money to be made off of people who are desperate for information and desperate for the truth. This is why you see on Twitter people have Substacks, right? They have subscription services where there's some secret thing they're going to tell you. I have one too. Mine's $1.99. And the only thing you're going to get there is a discount and to see us post things as a group. I make no promises about secret information or you're going to get a special show, whatever. I just don't have the time to do that. And it's important to me that my show is always free and I never put it behind a paywall. And honestly, would I make any money if I did? I don't even know. But there are people out there who specifically create content to deceive you. And I am constantly fighting this inside that aforementioned group. And my members, although I love them, they share things all the time that I have to shut down. Some of the things are off topic, right? And I can't put it in there. I don't care about a puppy getting rescued from a pipe. It's not going in my channel. I don't give a crap about a dolphin that's communicating telepathically with UFOs. I don't have the time for that either. I also don't care about a baking recipe unless it's pot pie. So those things immediately get scrapped. But I'm seeing other things that make it really hard for me to not only share, but not get frustrated because the information that is being shared is deceiving. Let me give you some examples, and we're going to walk through and do some things when it comes to looking at Twitter, and I'm going to give you some examples, and I'm going to show you my morning scroll, and we're just going to go through it, and I'll show you what I see, okay? And then you can tell me what you think. But yesterday, there were some protests around the country, and it was for, you know, Free Palestine. Predominantly Democrat Socialists of America went into cities and celebrated what Hamas had done to Israel and put up signs saying free Palestine. Now, what happened is in Chicago, there was a march that happened a couple years ago with 40,000 some odd people got together for free Palestine. This was in 2021 when a lot of the conflict arose again, where rockets were fired into Israel, blah, 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 blah. This is what happens whenever that happens. And it wasn't a violent protest. It was people, Palestinians, recognizing that they're a sovereign state, that they want to be recognized in Gaza and West Bank. Whoa. I caught that. Those reflexes die hard. Look at that. Let me fix this. That was the first almost accident that we had with the camera, but I think I got it saved. All right, that happens again. I'm going to catch it. Okay, so if you take a look at that, Gaza, West Bank, need to be recognized as a sovereign state, as a people, a dual capital society with Jerusalem, with Israel wanting to share that with Palestine, all of these things. And that protest was fairly normal and consistent with other protests that have happened. However, people decided to go ahead and link that and say that these are violent protests that were taking place designed to be anti-Semitic and show hate towards Israel. And although they're very similar to what you saw with the DSA and some other protests that took place around the country, they weren't nearly the same size and scope. So my first reaction was to share this with everybody and say, hey, here's what happened. So I'll show you a picture that I sent out to the group just so we're all on the same page. Here is the photograph that is from one of the videos. And they were claiming America, thousands of people are out on the street to support Palestine. Allah Akbar. Or Ola Snack Bar, however you want to say it. If you're military, Ola Snack Bar is fine. So this is what we get, right? Is you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, we better be careful because like Republicans said, Sharia law is coming to the United States, right? I mean, because that was the adage. The Tea Party 2014 Republicans explained that Sharia law was coming. They wanted to take our rights, that Islam was coming to the United States and was going to take over, all that bullshit. Well, when you see 40,000 people march in Chicago, the first thing that people think, especially Americans, is what if those people decide to get violent? We're going to have an open conflict, and we're going to have one of the largest gang elements in Chicago that's going to be Palestinian based, and those people are all Hamas. That's what everybody thinks. So that is to draw attention to a situation that is fabricated, that isn't accurate. And that's not what those people were marching for. So instead, you find a situation that's a lot more like this, and I'll show it to you. And I'll open this up instead. Bear with me. This isn't my usual rig, folks. But this is the protest that took place in Chicago. And although it's a large group of people, you're looking at about 1,000 people. Much smaller, much more contained, not even close to the level that was shown, and a lot less threatening. It looks like 1,000 people are there. And for a city the size of Chicago, that ain't no big thing. But why is that important? Is that a damaging lie? Is that something that we should say, okay, Matt, well, a protest did take place in 2021 and somebody used it as a placeholder because they didn't have B-roll. No, that's not what happened. It's that they saw the video of the original Chicago protest, which I just showed you, and said, that's not enough. That doesn't strike fear in me. That looks just like people protesting to protest, and they're using their constitutional right as Palestinians who have immigrated to this country, or they are children of immigrants. So therefore, we need to make this worse. Not only do we need to get a high-rise picture looking down upon 40,000 Palestinians, what we need to do is add sound to it and overlay a track that screams death to America, because that's also what people did. And they took recordings and overlaid them in the video to make it sound like that 40,000 person protest was truly people who were Hamas supporters who wanted death to America, but only what it was another protest that was very, very large from years before. So the question is that a big deal? That's the question to you this morning, right? Is something like that damaging to a point where you alter the truth in order to garner a reaction that you may already have, but reinforces your stereotypes or beliefs? Now, do I believe all Palestinians are evil? No, not at all. Do I believe that 90% of Gazans actually hate Jews? Yes, I do. Do I believe that most people in Gaza support what Hamas is doing? Yes. Do I believe there's a small fraction of people, predominantly children, who do not feel that way? Yeah. Do I think we should allow Hamas to continue striking Israel and creating terrorist events, killing Jews, simply because they have a disagreement that they're unable to sit down and work out in a peaceful manner? No, I don't. But when I look at that video, my first reaction was very similar to you, is, oh my God, what if this happens in all U.S. cities? And what if we times that by 50 of the top cities in the United States? Now you have a standing army of people who are Hamas supporters in the millions. That makes them one of the largest standing armies in the world, let alone the United States. That's scary. And it should scare everybody if it were true. The truth is that you can still protest for a free Palestine and not be a terrorist. You can still protest for the Palestinian people and support the endeavor to keep West Bank and Hamas and Gaza free, and that doesn't mean you're a terrorist. But what you don't get to do is do what the DSA did yesterday and actually celebrate, which is the Democrat Socialists of America, groups that Bowman are a part of, AOC is a part of, Aylan Omar is a part of, Rashida Tlaib is a part of. That group celebrated every strike and every missile and the death of people who were of Israel descent and Jewish religious beliefs, and openly celebrated the murder of Israelis. Now, those fucking people you need to be terrified of. And I've told you, socialists are the scariest human beings on the planet. They are absolutely insane. They have all the evidence that this is the worst government/economic system and principle base of how to run a country in world history. 100 million dead, without one successful socialist country ever in world history. These are the people you need to be afraid of, not some people protesting for free Palestine. I think there is a very big difference between the two. And it's important for us to understand that distinction. And so when we sit here and say, is that important? Is it necessary? Yeah, it is. It's important to call out fake news and lies, because it alters the conversation, and more importantly, it alters your perception on being open and receptive. Because here's what I heard yesterday. You know what? Screw Palestine. They're marching in the streets of Chicago and New York and DC and Florida. And these people want blood, and they want American blood, and they want Jewish blood. And I saw the video, and I'm like, wait a second. Slow down. Slow down. My crux isn't with people who are protesting peacefully, using permits and doing what they should do under their constitutional freedoms. It's people who are supporting terrorists in Washington, D.C., like the aforementioned AOC, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Bowman, etc., the Gang of Eight, who are absolutely confirmed socialists and open socialists who support Palestine. It's funny. Has anyone heard from Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren? Has anybody heard statements from Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren? Can someone confirm with me? Let me know before I keep going. Let me know. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, have they said anything about Palestine? Well, I'll go warm up my coffee. I'll be right back. All right, I'm reading. I don't see anyone saying anything. Looking to see if Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren have said anything. Let me go ahead and see if I can pop something up, since nobody's doing research for me today. Bernie Sanders comments on Palestine. He hasn't said one word. He hasn't said anything since 2021. So the lead socialists, yep, Elizabeth Warren said something about Indigenous Peoples Day. What did she say? That she loves her Native American brothers and sisters? There's a point I'm going to make here. Elizabeth Warren comments on Palestine. Hasn't said anything since 2021. So let me ask you a question. The two lead socialists in U.S. politics, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, haven't said shit on Palestine. Why? Why? Why would the Democrat Socialists of America say something, but Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, the two biggest socialists in this country, haven't said a word? It's interesting food for thought. And what I would say is that the Democrat Socialists for America are not socialists. That's right. Elizabeth Warren and Sanders have said nothing. But the Democrat Socialists of America are celebrating the death of Jews and reciting the things that took place in Israel as a success for Palestine. Well, if Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren were against Israel, why wouldn't they go ahead and say what they said in 2021, which in 2021 they both said that they support a free Palestine and a safe, sovereign Israel. And they believe that both places need to have peace, and they don't support either side in what's happening. It's pretty safe, middle-of-the-road opinion. Why aren't they saying anything now? Because it's my understanding and my belief that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren do not support what the current Democratic Socialist Party is. Because the Democrat Socialists, as they say, are not about celebrating terrorism. Socialists are a lot of things. They're a lot of things. Terrorist is not one of them. They certainly are all about a few things, which is equity and equal outcome that's achievable. So all you do is continue to whittle your people down because it isn't achievable in an effort and futility to achieve something that's not achievable. That's socialist. They're just basically stupid, but they're not terrorists. Because this new movement of Antifa and socialist Democrats are so progressive and so far that they are the true fascists. Because the people who support terrorism also support fascism. The people who support terrorism also are opposed to freedom. And really, they believe in tyrannical rule. So if you want to share anything about that day, you should probably share why are the two most prominent socialists in the United States, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, quiet, and why are the Democrat Socialists of America, including AOC and her cronies in New York, running celebration events to raise money for Palestine through the death of Jews? That's the question I would ask. And I would find Bernie Sanders and I would find Elizabeth Warren and I'd stick a microphone in their face and say, would you like to comment on the Democrat Socialists of America celebrating the death of Israel's, the raping of women, the death and murder of children, hostages being taken, having their limbs broken and dragged through the streets by their hair naked on national TV? Would you like to comment why socialists in America are celebrating this? And the follow-up question, Mr. Sanders and Miss Warren, feathers, not dots, is we would like to understand, do you still align yourself as elected representatives of U.S. Congress and Senate with the Socialist Party of America? I would love to get an answer from Bernie and Elizabeth Warren on that. So instead of making up stuff, instead of making things up that say there's 40,000 Palestinians in Chicago marching, which didn't take place, maybe we should ask why there's a group of a few hundred in New York talking about socialism. Here's the video. I'll pull it up. Just so we're all on the same page.
It could never go because...
See, a lot of this stuff has been scrubbed off Twitter now. And I'm going to show you some other stuff that will make you kind of cringe. But you can see a lot of these photographs. Where's that video? Oh, hold on a second. Oh, the lawnmower guy's here. All right, let me flip this on.
Desert party where they were having a great time until the resistance came in electrified hang gliders and took at least several dozen hipsters. But I'm sure they're doing very fine despite what the New York Post says. But nobody had seen this coming.
Yep, it's playing.
Every Israeli official said it was a complete surprise. And I think we have to sit with that. Because just a couple days ago, they said that surprise wasn't possible. They said we control every inch of Palestine.
No, they don't!
They said we have walls, we have cameras, yes, we have traitors too, and there's nothing they can do that we won't see of what we do. They were so arrogant. But just less than 24 hours ago on the land, from the sea and from the air, the people of the Gaza Strip. Our people from Gaza, our young people are riding their bikes through these settlements where they would never go because of apartheid. Our farmers, the farmers of Gaza, You know, they say that they can't even have tractors. They say that's terrorist equipment. Well, unfortunately for them, the tractors of these various so-called kibbutz settlements have been liberated and taken back to the farms. I think now I'd like to bring here.
So in that video, and I hope everyone could hear that okay, and we're going to have to cut the show a little short because the landscapers are here mowing everything. But I want you to listen to that, and I want you to, that was one of many Democrat Socialists of America rallies yesterday supporting the strikes and the terrorist attacks that took place in Israel. So my question once again is, when we look at Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, which you have to at least respect Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders just a little bit, no matter that their policies are completely batshit, who cares? At least they're honest. They don't hide behind the fact that they're socialists. They embrace it. And you know what? I would rather have somebody be that way than be a closet socialist, to be a person who is plotting and conniving to destroy this country. And when we look at AOC and we look at people like even Tulsi Gabbard, who has a lot of progressive and socialist viewpoints as far as abortion, as far as gun confiscation, as far as decreasing our national defense, these people are some of the most progressive people in politics. And Tulsi Gabbard is one of them. If you look at her voting record and you also look at her platform, it is extremely progressive. But Elizabeth Warren and Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard and Amy Klobuchar and Whitmer, these aren't the ones we need to worry about. These people will never get legislation pushed through. These people don't have a following that is as profound as what the squad does. Now, Whitmer, on one hand, very popular in Michigan, but not necessarily the rest of the country. But if you take a look at AOC and Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and the Gang of Eight, it's growing. And it has grown ever since 2018. And this group of people, these progressive socialists that call themselves Democrat Socialists of America, are now representing 8 different districts. What's going to happen in 2024? Will they expand to 12 or 14? Look how powerful the Freedom Caucus has become, which removed a speaker, but who had a 96% approval rating inside the Republican representation in Congress. It doesn't take a lot to thwart democracy. And that's what we have, whether you want to admit that or not. We are a constitutional republic when it comes to our laws and the practices and the divisions of government. But the way that we work is a representative democracy. And we don't cast the votes. We get to vote every 2 years in regards or special elections with propositions and things to that effect. But when it comes to the everyday decisions on legislation, when it comes to the votes of how the federal government interacts with the state, it isn't up to us. It's up to those elected representatives. And if they're not doing their job and they're not effectively representing us, the recourse that we have is to vote them out every couple years, but little else. So the whole thing when it comes down to this is, why are we supporting information that is distracting from the things that are truly happening? And if you trust people that spread this information on a daily basis, and it distracted you and you weren't aware of what happened with the Democrat Socialists of America and the true threat, then are they really on your side? That's the question. Are they really on your side? And you can listen to these conservative groups, these far-right groups that want to talk to you about bioweapon labs in Ukraine and want to talk to you about lizard people and want to tell you about the election and how they're clones in place in Washington, D.C. And Gitmo is where Donald Trump is, and he's already executed several different gotta love landscapers. Well, at least they're getting the job done. I mean, It's going to be a little noisy. But that's the question you have to ask yourself. Where are you getting your information? Do you truly keep going back to the well because you have something inside of yourself that needs to be fulfilled that you're not getting it anywhere else? Because I'll tell you, the moment that somebody lies to me, the very first time, they never get a second chance. The moment that they lie, I don't care who it is. The only person who can lie to me repeatedly are my children and my wife. And my wife has lied to me when it comes to small stuff like, hey, did we balance the book today? Uh-huh. Big deal. That's not a lie. That's just, a lie is when someone purposely tries to deceive you to harm you. So if you continue to go back to the same news sources and listening to these people, if you continue to go back to the well to some of these lower end podcasts, small podcasts like myself, if you continue to go to these right or left media channels and everything they say is inaccurate, like Benny Johnson, can anyone explain to me why you listen to Benny Johnson? Can someone just tell me why? Because you know what? I used to defend Benny because I really respected what he grew. But that guy's a fucking shill. He's a Fox News regurgitated plant. That's all he talks. He talks about the same thing every morning. He goes and watches Fox and Friends, and he gets sound bites. And what does he do? He doesn't create anything. He was on, and there was a guy, and I can't remember the other day, but he was just talking about, what was it? I'll have to find the show. But this guest was a Republican, and he was talking about Civil War or some shit, and was just saying nonsense. I mean, complete unhinged, completely the most insane crap I have heard from an elected representative. And Benny is laughing. And it's an awkward laugh because Benny doesn't believe it. He's listening to this guy, and instead of saying, hey, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What threat are you talking about? And it was something about the border. And I just can't remember, but it was something, it was so full of nonsense. And I never do this, but it doesn't matter. The point is that Benny Johnson just listens to this stuff, and he wants the most sensationalized people on his show. And I got to admit, he gets Carrie Lake on, he gets people on because he placates them, and he refuses to hold them accountable. He refuses to ask them the question that truly matters. Now, I want you guys to follow somebody. His name is Nick Freitas, Freitas, and he's a representative here in Virginia. And I've been watching him for a long time. I also want you to watch guys like Eric Erickson. Even though I think Eric is completely full of TDS, I still think his opinion's important because he doesn't lie to you. He may not say things that you don't agree with, but he doesn't lie to you. Bill Maher is another guy. You don't have to like everything Bill says, but he doesn't lie to you. That's the one thing Bill doesn't do. He may spin things with his view because he's a liberal, but really, he's fiscally conservative. He's socially liberal, and that's very much in line with most people in this chat right now. But you don't have to love Bill Maher, but he's not going to lie to you. He's actually going to tell you a point and tell you the truth to a level that you may not like. Where's that sun coming? One second. See if I can do this without breaking the rig. Hey, there we go. Okay. So that's the whole point of the entire conversation this morning. It isn't about getting information you agree with and people who confirm your bias, but it's actually listening to people that you disagree with or that you might respect in order to get a different perspective. Megan, what's going on? So let me ask you a question. Who here is willing to stand up and say, I watch Benny Johnson and I love Benny Johnson? because I want to hear from you. And I don't want to berate you, and I don't want to belittle you, and I don't want to make you feel small, because I'm not going to turn this into a me versus Benny Johnson, because Benny has a hell of a lot bigger audience than I do. And but I would love to have a conversation with him. I would love to sit down and just say, Benny, dude, you plagiarized and got fired from your job because you couldn't come up with creative content on your own, so you stole from other people. You were released from that position. You created a network that's extremely large. You have 2,000 to 3,000 people watching your show every day, which is huge, which is massive. You've got 700,000 followers. You talk to some very prominent people. And you lead every morning with prayer and thoughts of unity, and then go ahead and undercut that every single morning that you do a show. Help me understand. Help me understand how in the morning you can go ahead and say, peace be with everybody. God has control. God has the wheel. Put your faith in Christ. And then go ahead and undercut every single person who you don't like and refuse to listen to anything. Got it back. And use gotcha headlines to ultimately harm the people who trust you and listen to you. We got it back, folks. We cut out for a minute. I think we're back. Hold on. All right, so here are the comments. JD says, I can't do it. I'd be lying. He's obnoxious. Too much gotcha captions. I laugh at Benny Johnson, plus he stole Matt's design. I'm not upset at that, because duplication and copying another person is supposed to be the biggest form of flattery. What bothers me is that Benny Johnson does not strike me as a person who goes out and fires weapons on the weekends. He's not a guy that goes out and goes hunting and spent time in the military, yet he's trying to pull himself off as a vet by his set and the way it looks. And whatever, that's the shtick. And I have been told by many podcasts who are a hell of a lot bigger than mine that I have one of the best looking sets and the best looking shows out there. And I do. And the reason why is because I put the money into it. And I take it seriously. My sound is important to me. My visuals are important to me. My graphic design is important to me. My brand is important to me. And I want to make sure that I represent myself in that fashion. Benny Johnson's just trying to find his shtick. But he didn't need to kite my set from me. I'm just saying. I stopped watching Benny Johnson. He's just a little bit over the top for me. Oh, my comments are all screwed up because we got disconnected. Joanne says, I love your honesty. Thank you. He's the National Enquirer of podcasts. It seems he's become unhinged. Benny, not Matt. Listen, Benny's got to make his way in the world, but this is the whole point. Let's take a look at this, and then I'm going to go. So I am just going to go to my Twitter feed. And I want you guys just to listen and focus on this. Here's someone I don't know. I went to the Palestinian resistance protest near Harvard today. Here's what you need to know. The flyer declared victory is ours. Chants called for the destruction of Israel. Protesters called the Israelis across the street Nazis. Hundreds of people showed up. Things got intense with Israeli side. Police did a great job. Many chants accusing Israel of white supremacy. Reporting coming on Fox News. So credible or not? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Casey's profile and I'm going to look at what she's got. 182,000 followers. Works with Fox News. Looks like she's got a pretty stable life. looks like that she's married to someone who is Jewish. And the first thing I would say is she would seem credible to me, at least from a surface appearance. And if I want to go into that deeper, I will. And if I want to look at that from a larger perspective, I would. But that's not the stuff that's going to get me. I'm going to go ahead and look at something like this. Reminder, Trump gave away classified Israeli intelligence secrets to Russia when he was president. This could just be the beginning of the impact of Trump's big mouth. All right. I know for a fact that Mike Singleton is a complete shill for the left. He hates Donald Trump. I've seen his profile 100 times, and there is nothing that I'm going to listen to when this guy talks. I have verified every single thing that he posts is complete skewed bullshit. But there's people on the left who are listening. Here's another one. Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh despises Trump. He was a former congressman for a short period of time. He's a regular on MSNBC. But now he wants to go ahead and be listened to and have the world listen to him, even though he is completely deranged with Trump. He hates Trump, despises Trump, and can't give Trump any credit for the Abraham Accords or for the peace deals in Israel or recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, building relationships with Netanyahu, funding beyond reproach, cutting funding to Palestine when it came to supposedly humanitarian issues that was be taken by Hamas and used for terrorism. He can't give Trump any credit, but right now he's reaching out to his former party because he's no longer a Republican and expects people to go ahead and respect his word. Nobody will, because he's tainted. Laura Loomer, who is Jewish, who is a hard right Donald Trump supporter through and through. Nothing that Donald Trump say is wrong. Everything he says is right. And this is what Twitter's like. It's all about division. It's all about opposites. Mario Nafal, the Israeli army announces we are now launching a large-scale attack on Gaza. Also, there are no longer any clashes with Palestinian militants inside Israel. Why this is important? It shows the war is shifting in Israel's favor. Rockets from Hamas have dropped to a halt. Incursions in Israel haven't occurred since yesterday, and there's no long Hamas members in Israel. This all comes as Israel continues a massive aerial bombardment. However, it's also very alarming as we do not know the repercussions of Israel entering Gaza, and based on their statement, it looks very possible to happen today. How will Hezbollah and Iran respond? Fairly decent, consistent, and accurate based upon information that I've received. Here's Mariana Medvin, who is an amazingly smart and intelligent woman. Take a listen to what she has to say. But this is your feed. And if you're not going through it and you're not dissecting it in this way, by the way, remember when I told you Egypt would open up the southern border from Gaza and allow people in? Yeah, they did. As I told you they would. If you're not going through your feed every single day like that, and before you consume it, checking the credibility of the people and asking yourself, is this a person who consistently provides disinformation? Because that's not even, I didn't even scratch the surface. I could go down into my feed and show you the lies, start showing you the propaganda, start showing you people who are supporting pro-Palestine and or who are saying that Jews are Nazis or Jews are supporting the Azov battalion in Ukraine and making lies, that they're using chemical weapons against Palestinians. There is shit on my feed that I can't even begin to tell you. And if you are not going through your feed just like I did, which is first checking who posted it, understanding who they are, knowing exactly what their motives and modus operandi are, then you're doing yourself a disservice and you're opening yourself up with the ability to be deceived. I'm not telling you how to consume media. I'm not telling you how to surf. I'm just showing you how I do it. And a lot of people ask me the question, Matt, how do you have your information accurate? How do you not make a mistake? How do you not recite and disseminate something and then regurgitate it and not do it in error, because I don't trust people. And I don't care how long I've followed them. I don't care how long I've known them. Nobody gets a pass with me accepting what they say based on merit from yesterday on the investment I'm supposed to make on them today. I hope you could do the same thing. I hope that you can slow down and start checking sources. And when you hear something on Fox News, don't immediately buy it. And you hear something on CNN, don't buy it. Take a second and investigate it and understand it. Because at the very least, you're going to have more than a surface level of understanding of something. Because that's all Fox can afford. Fox has to get to the next commercial. Fox has to give you just enough to get you to buy into their tropes without any real substance or merit into the overall discussion. So if you hear something on Fox News in the morning, you're damn skippy. The first thing I'm doing is I'm going and checking sources to see if it's accurate or not. Because if you don't, the only thing you're doing is regurgitating information that isn't real. Now, is the border a serious situation? Absolutely. 100%. Is it fentanyl an absolute crisis? Yes. Are we allowing people into our southern border that are unchecked with unfettered access to our country? Yes. All of those things are absolutely true. Is it the single biggest, most dangerous crisis to the U.S. right now? No. None of those things are. The biggest crisis that we have is the devaluation of the American dollar. Period. Full stop. End of story. Because when the value of the dollar declines to a point where it is depreciated without being of value, we are then in hyperinflation and we turn into Venezuela. With the amount of money that we have printed, with the amount of money we have put in circulation, with the amount of debt that we have to China and Saudi Arabia and other countries who are buying up land at a massive clip, if anyone calls in those debts, we are completely foobarred. The biggest, most dangerous thing to U.S. consistent growth and U.S. consistent influence in the world is the valuation of our dollar. And anyone that tells you different is lying. They're lying. Which troll Benjamin are we talking about? Hold on, I want to see. Oh, here it is. Laurel Anderson. This guy just keeps spewing on the negative, looking spread unrest. Laurel? What, really? You want me to spread unrest by calling for people to fact check and actually cite their sources? You think that telling people to not listen to everything on Fox News and CNN and actually take a second to dive deeper into understanding and to go lower and peel back the onion versus just going ahead and taking a bite and shedding tears is telling people negativity and unrest? I think I think you would have a valid argument if you could cite some examples of my negativity. When I say that the border is not the first and only thing that we need to be worried about as Americans, even though that's all we hear about from Republicans and Fox News. And I want people to have opinions, and I respect yours, but could you give me an example of how I am citing unrest and negativity? I'm interested. Because I don't understand. And if your entire answer to this is your source is trust me, bro, it's hard for me to take you seriously. And it's not because you're a woman. That has nothing to do with it. So when you call me sexist, that's not it. In fact, I listen to women more often than men because they're louder. And they also have a better influence in my life because my son and I are outnumbered. But I don't understand how you think calling for people to slow down. Who banned Laurel? All right, moderators, we're going to have a little conversation. Because if people keep banning people who disagree with me, not only are you doing a disservice to the channel, you're doing a disservice to me because I'm not banning these people. I don't want them banned. Okay, Mike, your privileges are removed as a moderator for a while. Nobody said to ban her. This has to stop. And you know what? I don't ever hold back. So we're going to do this live. If you fucking ban another person in my chat without me telling you to, you're fucking banned. This isn't a mistake. This is habitual, and it happens all the time. This channel is for everybody. And unless people are making horrible comments, degrading comments, calling people animals, calling them maggots, racial stereotypes and tropes, unless somebody's in here spewing and spamming things that are links to outside pages that are designed to manipulate people, this must stop. I am absolutely responsible for this page. I am absolutely responsible for the integrity of this page, and I don't ban people simply because they disagree with me. I ban people who are trolls. I ban people who insult. I ban people who continue to push a narrative that isn't true and espouse things that aren't true. We don't ban people who simply say that I'm pushing unrest because I want to know why they think that. Because I can't tell you how many listeners I've saved who despise what I'm saying. Sorry, a mini stroke there. Despise what I'm saying and then become lifelong fans. I don't care. If your internet sucks, then stop engaging with the site as a moderator. You don't pick up a faulty weapon and discharge when you know it's not clear downrange. You don't pick up faulty items that are yellow listed or red listed and then try to use them in the military. You don't operate a Humvee that says do not operate. You don't put yourself in a situation where you're not dependable. You don't put yourself downrange where other people rely on you unless your technical is 100% locked in. You know this. So, no more. No fucking more. You ban another person without Amy's go-to or mine, you're gone. Man, I tell you what, that's a person who does not like me, and I'm going to defend them with as much fervor as I can over someone who I adore in Mike. I love you. I mean, I love Mike, but Mike's going to get an earful because he represents me in this channel, and you don't ban people on rando. You just don't do it. It's not good business. I have told you before, the trolls are important. They are important to this show because we have turned people who were trolls into fans. And some of our biggest fans on this channel are the trolls. In fact, the haters engage with me more than the trolls do. All right, enough said. I'm not going to continue to browbeat you, but dude, this is not the first time. This is now 20 times I've said this. 20 times. Yesterday, you sent me a graphic, a comic of trolls blowjobbing each other and shit, and it's not funny. I don't find that humorous because I happen to care about my audience, and I don't care who they are, because these people are not evil. They're not the devil. They've been sold something that isn't accurate, and it's my job to try to help them see it. So instead of having a call after the show, we're just going to do it during the show because it's a lot easier. And I don't have the time. And I would like to try to take a day off today. All right, enough said. And it's not as easy as me just unbanning people. That's not the way this works, especially in these chats. These chat groups are very complicated, and the processing of banning and unbanning inside a live chat is very much different than a show. In a show, I can go to all banned people, or excuse me, on the Facebook page, and I can just click unban. Here, I got to go create a live show. I got to go into the moderators. I know you're sorry, Mike. You know what? It's the way it is. If you're in a bad situation and you don't have internet access, perhaps moderating it's not the time. So, standing rule, trolls don't get banned unless I say they get banned. If you see someone spamming Dr. Zambabawamba's freaking blackhead removing cream, ban them. If you see somebody who uses the word Nazi or calls someone a libtard, a warning is probably needed, and I will catch on. If you see someone use a racial slur, they are gone in a New York minute. But if somebody disagrees with me and says, oh, yeah, well, you're a douchebag. Okay, great. That's fine. You can say that. I've got thicker skin than that. If you want to say that I'm spreading disinformation, good. Tell me why. But what we don't get to do is ban people simply because they're the opposition party, because that's how discourse, it dies. That's how you get vacuum chambers. That's how you get these channels that are espousing one viewpoint at all times and refuse to allow anyone else into the conversation. And don't get me wrong, there's people who I don't want in this channel, and I don't want to hear from them, but that's not my choice to make. All right, I think I've said enough. I will tell Leroy that. Listen, thanks for watching. Mike, I'm going to give one more bit of advice to people. I really like this umbrella. It just, I need to adjust it so it gets a little closer to me. There's two things with feedback. Feedback, people say it's a gift. And when you guys are in your corporate environments or you're doing your jobs, you're going to hear people say all the time, feedback, it's a gift. And the HR department will tell you that. Let me tell you something, that's bullshit. Feedback is not a gift. Feedback is never a gift. That's like giving someone shit in a box. That's not a gift. Nobody wants to receive feedback, positive or negative specific. It doesn't matter. Feedback can create anxiety and tension, and people usually go on the defensive. So you have to see feedback as something completely different. And feedback, in truth and honesty, it's a bomb. Feedback is a bomb, and you have a choice. You can either take it, internalize it, and let that bomb go off and destroy you. Makes you bitter around your boss and bitter around your friends and bitter around your fellow employees, and you want extra things and you want more money and you want to be recognized and you don't understand why nobody loves you, and you get vindictive, and then you start fulfilling these self-fulfilling prophecies of ultimate doom in your job, and you get fired because you let something like feedback blow you up inside. Or you can do the second thing, and you can dismantle the bomb and use the parts for something good and build something else. When you get feedback, take it, use it, lose it. I don't hold on to it. When I give people feedback, I give it to them and I move on. And people are like, are you still mad at me? I can't stand that question. I was never mad at you to begin with. Mike, I'm not mad at you. I'm frustrated that you're doing something repeatedly when I've told you to stop. Because you get a hard-on to ban people and you think it's powerful. It's not. It's actually weakness. If you ban people versus trying to engage them. Now, once you engage them in conversation and they continue to troll, get rid of them. I don't care. But what we can't do is go ahead and just ban everybody because we disagree with them. Take the feedback, use it for something good, and lose it. Because if you hold on to it longer than 5 minutes, you're doing yourself a disservice, because I'm not going to. I don't care about it. In fact, I don't even want to talk about it again. I don't want it to happen again. Stop banning people who don't deserve it. All right, folks. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Appreciate it. Mike Blankman's a good dude. I love him. He's a buddy. But everybody needs to get some feedback once in a while, even if it's in front of 150 some odd people. Tonight, we are not on live. There will not be a recorded show. Tomorrow morning, there will be a recorded show coming. We're not doing coffee. Coffee's Tuesday and Thursday. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're live. So we'll be live Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. If you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get the invite. Folks, just show up at 8 o'clock. I'm there. And if I'm not, I'm going to put up a little graphic that says, we're not going to be able to be on tonight. Pretty simple. If you haven't had a chance, stop by the Don't Unfriend Me Show. You get to pick up cool things like great coffee mugs. Also some amazing coffee made by veterans. Oily, black, amazing coffee. At a good price, actually. So go take a look. You can save 10% by using code DUMB10. And everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks for being here. Have a good one. Thanks for watching the show tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow. No, I do not have an exit scene, so we'll just go out with the title of the show. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in.